Hey everybody, it's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in 2064, grabbing the 3 plant-based achievements. These are very missable and take place across the first few chapters. So in chapter 1, after you wake up after meeting Turing, he is going to bring up your plant and that you've been overwatering it. So he's going to ask you if he could order some supplies to take care of it. What you want to do is you want to agree to all of his requests. So just pick the first option for everything and then you should be good. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure you interact with the plant and then talk to it. It's going to have 2 options. You always want to pick the positive option, so that's going to be the top one. And then what you want to do is you want to keep interacting with it and keep talking to it, selecting the positive conversation until the choices loop in on themselves, which should be every 2 or 3 conversation pieces. After that, you want to make sure you do this for the next 2 chapters. Every time you come back to your apartment, you want to make sure you talk to the plant and keep giving it positive talking points. In my playthrough, I made it a point to come back to the apartment every time I had access to the map, so every time I had to go somewhere new, I made sure I stopped by home first to talk to the plant, just as a precautionary. So, at the start of chapter 3, you're going to be back in your apartment, you're going to talk to Turing, and he's going to give you a status update on the plant. It's either going to be alive or dead, depending on if you talk to it and how many times, etc., etc. So if you manage to talk to it at least every time you were at the apartment for the previous 2 chapters, you should get the achievement for keeping it alive for a 10 gamer score. Now, what you want to keep doing is keep talking to it during chapter 3, and then once you get to the start of chapter 4, you should get a second achievement as long as you keep talking to it. So we're going to do the same strategy where we're going to make a point to go back to the apartment every time we have access to the map. So every time we go to somewhere new, we're going to come back to the apartment before going to that location. So as long as you keep this up, you should get the Botanist achievement at the start of chapter 4. So once chapter 4 starts, what you want to do is you want to check up on the plant. If the plant is sparkling, that's how you know you've kept it at outstanding health. So it should get a little twinkle after talking to it for a few times, and that's when you should get the Botanist achievement for a 10 gamer score. So there's 2 achievements for keeping it alive, and then there's 1 achievement for just doing the opposite. So on the other hand, if you manage to completely ignore the plant once you start chapter 3, which obviously you should do on a separate playthrough since you can't really do both using save manipulation without playing huge chunks of the game, so save this for a second playthrough. The plant should die and you should get the You're Hopeless achievement for another 10 points. And that's all there is to it.